एकं शास्त्रं देवकी पुत्रगीतम् एको देवो देवकी पुत्र एव एको मन्त्रस्तस्य नामानि यानि कर्माप्येकं तस्य देवस्य सेवा. Today, I was just thinking that let it not be a regular lecture session. It's going to be a lot of interaction. I need a lot of inputs from you rather than me speaking a lot, okay? I will connect it to the scriptures as and when we discuss. So that's what I thought can be today's theme. And what am I going to talk about today? It is our life, the lessons that we can learn in life as mentioned in our scriptures. So it's not going to be something totally different. Many times my talks, which we've done here earlier, are about science and technology in our scriptures and things like that. But today it's going to be about life lessons. What can we do? How can we empower ourselves based on what's mentioned in our own scriptures? So it's going to be a very, very high level overview, but simple points which we can implement in our everyday life, right? Yeah. So to start with, Bhagavan Krishna does Upadesham to Arjuna. Why is it important? Because the world needs people who practice what they preach. And here we have Krishna who lived by whatever he spoke. In fact, he himself tells that, and that's going to be towards the conclusion of today's topic, where I will explain what did Krishna actually say. Alright? So, before we go on to learning what is available in our scriptures, let's see how we are in our everyday life. So let's say we wake up in the morning, right? So we set up our alarm for 5:36, 6:37, whatever time it is. Now the alarm rings. From dawn to dusk, we go through a lot of emotions in our life, right? So what are some of the emotions each one of us undergo on a daily basis? For example, when you get up, do you feel lazy or you feel enthusiastic? Do you feel like, I want to do this, I want to do that, I'm looking forward to today? Or it's like, oh my God, why is my alarm ringing? And then press the snooze button. So I just want to know from you, what are the emotions that you undergo on an everyday basis? Can I hear from you all? Some emotions. Yes? You're grateful, grateful, wonderful. Any other emotions? Why? Okay, on one side we are grateful, on the other side it's like why? Then, what are the emotions?
Gratitude.
Gratitude, yes.
Fresh and energetic.
Sorry?
Fresh
and energetic. So, how many of you press the snooze button? Hey, give me 5 more minutes.
Only on Sunday.
Right. Okay, Sunday means snooze button, right? Every day it's the snooze button.
Get ready for the days after.
She sets the alarm 10 minutes early so that the snooze button can be pressed. Alright. So we have all these things in the morning. After some time, we go do whatever we are supposed to do on that particular day, and things exactly work the way we wanted it to happen. You know, I wanted this to happen. Oh my God, it's amazing that it really happened that way. So when things go your way, how do you feel emotionally?
Happy.
Good, happy, charged up,
Satisfied.
thankful, contented, right? Now, you want something to be done properly and you're very confident that it's going to happen that way. But then, some small thing, unforeseen, goofed up, and it did not happen your way, okay? And it's messed, you're stressed. So, at that point of time, what happens to your mindset? Like, when things do not go your way, how do you react? Disappointed, upset, disturbed.
Try to be calm and try to solve.
Attempt to be calm.
Try to set aside.
Take a deep breath and say that I will calm myself.
Okay.
And that will be so powerful.
What next?
Okay, what next? What next? Alright, so take a deep breath, calm yourself. What next? So these are some of the emotions. Now finally, end of the day, we retire for the day. Okay? Now we want to sleep for many of us, a lot of things goes on in our mind when we attempt to sleep, right? So when you go back to bed every single day, on an average, what are some of the emotions that happen in your mind?
Grateful you're still alive.
You're grateful you're still alive. Okay? Thank God for a wonderful day.
Planning for the next day.
Plan for the next day. Okay? So, on an okay, so if you just analyze the everyday emotions that happen to us, alright? So let's just think what's happening here. From morning till evening, from dawn to dusk, we go through a series of emotions, starting from being grateful, thankful, contented, to being stressed, to being disappointed, to being upset, to, taking up the challenge, looking up for what's going to happen next. A lot of things happens in our mind, right? Now the question here is, are these emotions under our control? Are we able to decide what we want to do, or it's as if somebody from somewhere is controlling our remote and these emotions just happen to us? This is something which is very important. Do these just happen to us, or do we have the emotional control? Do we decide, okay, I want to be happy. Am I able to be happy? I want to be happy, but something happened. Otherwise, I would have been happy. This frequently happens. So, are these emotions under our control, or something external drives these emotions? That's the question, right? So, we would like us to have control of our emotions, but to what extent it's possible, it's something to think about. What happens is, these are our state of mind, our mindset. This reflects in our body language. So when we are upset, what happens is, we walk faster, we breathe faster. Have you seen we pant faster when we are angry? Our voice becomes shriek, it becomes loud. Our body language changes. We start, trembling. A lot of other reactions happen physically. The very first chapter of Bhagavad Gita speaks about Arjuna's body reactions when his mind is actually upset. When he is lamenting, he says, Vepatushta sharirene, romaharshasya jayate, gandivam samsrute astat. Lot of physical reactions happen because he's so depressed, he's so upset. So our state of mind leads to different body languages. Now what happens because of that? Does our state of mind decide our body language? How do we come out of it? We need a solution, right? So what do the scriptures, do they even give us a solution, or just states this? So in my generous introduction, Sushi Bhagini was mentioning that I am an NLP practitioner. So I came across this very interesting topic when I was learning NLP. So in NLP, we have a concept of eye movements. Depending on the position of our eyes, different things happen to our brain. Okay. For example, when your eyes are on the right side top, they say you visually recollect a lot of things. When you're auditory, your eyes are at horizontal level. When you're feeling something, your eyes point to the lower end of it. So based on whether the eyes is on top or low, whether you are recollecting or constructing, a lot of things can be deciphered. For example, you are asking a person, so what did you do last evening? And that person looks down in the visual construct, or he's looking down at kinesthetic construct. Construct means he's making up something, right? So depending on where his eyes are, you can say whether it really happened or they are just making up something, right? So all of these can be deciphered using the NLP eye language pattern. And this was very interesting for me. Just with eyes, so much can be done, But then I happened to have learned dance in my childhood. And in Natya Shastra, I recollected a beautiful sloka. And the sloka says, Yato hastas tato drishtihi, yato drishtis tato manaha, yato manas tato bhava, yato bhavas tato rasaha. Which means, where your hand goes, yato hastas tato drishtihi, your eyes automatically go there. When I'm pointing here, my eyes automatically go there. Yato hastas tato drishtihi. Yato drishtis tato manaha. Where my eyes go, my mind automatically follows. Think about it. You are looking at some old nostalgic photos. The moment you look at your grandmother, some family relatives, an old friend, automatically our mind goes into those thoughts, right? Nina ji was telling, she was looking at the Jnana Nidhi, a lot of recaps happened, what kind of fun we had at that point of time, during COVID times. So, yato hastas tato drishtihi, yato drishtis tato manaha. Yato manaha tato bhava. So where our mind goes, there our bhava goes. There is expression there. Yato bhavas tato rasaha. So wherever we have the expressions, our mood itself gets evoked. Now think of the death. It's not just about the eye movement and relating what the person is actually doing. It goes into a much deeper emotional level, and they say that just by changing your yato hasta, just by changing your hand or body language, you can change your mood. How very powerful this tool is. What happens usually if we have a headache? What do? We say, oh my God, I have a headache, and we just sit at home, we become more zombie, we don't want to do anything else. Headache increases. Have you watched young kids who want to go play cricket outside? They will be saying that they have a headache, they don't want to do anything. Their friends would come home, they will step out to play. When they are coming back, gone is the headache. They will say, oh my God, I should not have missed this catch. I don't know how this happened. They are full of energy and enthusiasm. How? They change the body language, the mind changes. So here, yato hastas tato drishtihi, yato drishtis tato manaha, yato manas tato bhava, yato bhava tata rasaha becomes a very, very powerful tool where we understand that our state of mind and body language is a two-way process. That's what our scriptures say. Our mind can influence our body can in turn influence the mind. So, nasti utsaham naranam. Everything is possible for a person who has enthusiasm. That is one of the subhashitas. On the other side, body language can influence our state of mind. When we combine both these together, we realize that the state of mind and body language is a two-way process. If our mind is enthusiastic, it contributes positively to our body language. If our body language is good, we can change our state of mind without any excuses. How powerful can this tool be for us? Think of what kind of implementations we can do. We never have to be upset. I'm sure many of you would have realized this. You start reading a book, okay? After you're sitting while reading the book, after some time you slide slowly. After a few minutes, you are flat on your bed and you start reading the book only to fall asleep. How many of you experienced this? Right? We read and we sleep off, right? Why? Because your body language is conducive to sleeping. So your mind says, read the book, read the book, read the book. Your body says, fall asleep, fall asleep, fall asleep. There is an internal civil war which happens between, reading the book and falling asleep. Whichever is stronger, that wins. Most of the time we fall asleep, right? So that's what happens. So using your body language positively, you can change your state of mind. That is the lesson we learn from this, right? And that's what our scriptures tell us. Now Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, if we can overcome the state of mind, which is anger, which is desire, then we can be happy in this life and eternally also. So how do we handle anger and desires? By changing our body language appropriately, we can handle it. When we are really angry, we burst out with words, right? If we can tolerate the urge of bursting out. We just want to do something, we have a desire. Just hold on to it. Change your body language at that point of time. Change your focus at that point of time. You can help yourself to come out of those urges, and that will lead to long-term happiness, says Krishna. Right? In fact, those who listened to me earlier will know this thought process of mine where I strongly believe that Bhagavan Sri Krishna worded whatever Bhagavan Sri Rama lived. Sri Rama was the earlier avatara. So Rama lived as an example. So Krishna actually gave those in a textual format to us. I lived at that point of time. Here is the notes for it. You do something practically and you get the outcome of it theoretically. So that's what Krishna did. So what did Rama do? Just now I read the sloka of Krishna, right? You control your urges of desire and anger, you be happy. Now what did Rama do? Rama was informed, tomorrow morning you're going to have your coronation ceremony. You're going to become the king. So Ayodhya is going to be your kingdom. Everything he's told. All the preparations are going on. People of Ayodhya are excited, happy. Rama says, okay father, whatever you say, So Pita Agnya, I will do it. The next morning, after Kaikeyi asks for a boon, Rama is asked to go to the forest, not even to be in Ayodhya. Forget kingdom. He's asked to go on exile, not for a day or two, for 14 long years. How did Rama react? Was he desirous of the kingdom? Was he angry because, he's been chucked out of the country? No. In fact, in Kamba Ramayanam, he says, the lotus, the just bloomed lotus is so fresh and beautiful to see, right? Rama's face was like that itself. Appodu malanda tamarai pol. So, even if it's a day or two older, it might not have that beauty. So that beauty of Rama's face was so pleasant and nice to look at that there was no difference between accepting the kingdom or being rejected the kingdom or even being asked to go on an exile. So Rama lived with these principles. Krishna explained us these principles, saying that control your anger, control your desire. That's the outcome. That's how you can be happy in your life. Right? Now, we understand all these. But as and when we listen to these, automatically there is one small tiny little voice inside us which says, all these are not practical. These are easy to say, easier said than done. Very difficult to implement. These kind of small voices keep popping out of our mind. So, let me just tell you a very interesting example. Have any of you seen how hunters catch the monkeys? You have the tender coconut, right? Elanir. So, monkeys love peanuts. So, what they do is, the hunters will make a small hole in the tender coconut, put some peanuts into it. Now the monkey wants to grab the peanuts. So it puts its hand inside, grabs the peanuts. Now its fist becomes bigger than what it was when it entered the hole. Now the monkey holds the peanuts. It wants to take its hand outside. It's not able to, obviously, right? Because the fist has become bigger. What should the monkey do if it wants to be free again? It should let go the peanuts. Do you think the monkey will do that?
No.
It will hold on to the peanut. At the same time, it will want to make itself free. It keeps fighting over and over and over again. The hunter comes, grabs the monkey and leaves. So, what are these peanuts? These peanuts are the beliefs that limit us from achieving what we want to achieve. This tiny voice that we hear from inside, right? We say that I don't have enough time, but starting from the PM to every other person has the same 24 hours, right? So we say I don't have enough time, I'm not as good as others, a very, very common excuse that anybody says, I'm not good enough, I'm not intelligent, my communication is not good. The list goes on. For every person, they have their own set of things which stop them. Those are the peanuts. These peanuts stop us from achieving whatever we want. We have to let go, attempt it in order to achieve it, right? So, what does Krishna say about this? Who is going to help us? He is very, very clear. Oh, my family background was not good. Had I had these facilities when I was young, Krishna says, don't ever use these kind of blaming techniques. It's not working with him. He says, Uddhared atmanatmanam na atmanam avasade atmaiva hyatmano bandhuhu atmaiva ripuratmanaha. You have to lift yourself by yourself. Uddhared atmanatmanam. You have to lift yourself. Na atmanam avasade. Never let yourself down. Why? Because atmaiva hyatmano bandhuhu. You are your best friend. You are the closest friend that you can have. When you help to raise yourself. But you become your worst enemy. When Atmaiva Ripuratmanaha, if you let yourself down, you become your worst enemy. These are told by Krishna himself. Uddhared atmanatmanam na atmanam avasade atmaiva hyatmano bandhuhu atmaiva ripuratmanaha. So we are our best friend if we help ourselves raise ourselves. Let's just take one example and see how we can work on it. I don't have enough time. Most of us tell the statement, right? I don't have enough time. Now, what do we do with the time that we usually have? At large, let us just take on an average where our time, energy and thought goes. Suppose we are going to a place. Say today, Savera, we were supposed to meet at 10 o'clock in the morning, right? Now, we leave home appropriately, but then when we are coming here, there is too much of traffic jam. What happens to our mind? We are like, oh my God, there's so much of traffic jam. I don't know why there should be so much, but can we go this way, can we go that way, can we change the route? And our driver keeps honking, the neighbors, drivers keep honking. There is so much of noise pollution everywhere, we get stressed out. Can we change anything there? Nothing can be changed. But had we planned a little, a 10 minutes earlier trip would have eased a lot of these tensions. But most of the time, what is under our control? Leaving a little earlier is in our control. We don't do that. What is not under our control? The traffic and the way the other vehicles go is not under our control. But our mind, energy and time goes on cribbing and lamenting about what is around us. How many of you felt this? Very frequently we do all this, right? Now let's take one of the recent examples of elections. So many people, I know, at least for the last 1 month, were discussing about politics, why things are not right, who we should vote to, how, it would be miserable if somebody else comes to power. A lot of these things was happening. Can anything be changed? No, what's happening is happening. It's not under our control. But what can be done? We can go for the voting. That is in our control. But looks like 40% of the people did not turn out for the voting. So what we can change, we do not. What is not in our control, we actually attempt to change. That is where most of our time and energy goes. Whenever we take up an issue, the first question we should ask ourselves is this in our control? Can we change it? If we cannot change, if we cannot influence it, don't even get into it. Take the issue only if you can make a difference in it. Otherwise, it's not worth discussing, right? When we start doing that, 80% of the time we will realize, it's not in our control. So why bother about things which is not in our control, while things which is under our control, we don't do much. That is where our impact should be, right? So what does Krishna say about it? He does not take simple examples. He takes all the way to what can be the worst case scenario to demonstrate this. In a person's life, what can be the worst thing that can happen? He can die, right? That is the worst situation. Now what Krishna tells Arjuna here is very interesting. He says, Jatasyahi dhruvam mrityuhu dhruvam janma mritasya cha tasmada pariharyete natvam sochitum arhasi. Whoever is born is going to die. Whoever dies is going to be born again. Jatasyahi dhruvam mrityuhu. When they are born, the day they are born, it's sure that they are going to die. When a person dies, it's sure to be born again. So it is inevitable. The cycle of birth and death is inevitable. So don't even think about it. Arjuna has been lamenting the entire first chapter, right? So Krishna says, what's the point in lamenting for inevitable things? don't lament. So if Krishna can extend our level to accepting death as a part of life, what do we have? Don't lament about anything is Krishna's advice to us. Nothing is worth so much of pressure, tension, lamenting, something which is not in our control. Don't think about it. Think of things only where you can make the difference. Right? Life lessons. This is one of the most important thing for time management, I would say. And the reason for this is because when we focus on something, let's see what happens. Now, all of us are in this room. Let's just play a small little game, alright? So when I say start, I want all of you to look around this room for red color, okay? When I say start, just look around the room and see all the red colors that you can see, alright? Start. Go ahead, look around the room. All the reds that you can see. Okay? All the reds that you can see. Okay. Now eyes back here. How many of you saw a lot of blues? Okay, now look around the room searching for blue colors, please. Look for all the blue colors that you can see. Alright, eyes back here. So this is when some people's dresses, some of the blouses, some of the shirts, some small things which are blue in color and Krishna's color, all these come to our eyes only when we are looking for it. So this means what we focus on grows, right? It keeps expanding. When we focus on something, it keeps expanding. So if we focus on problems, we are going to get more of it. If we focus on solutions, we are going to get more of it. If we keep lamenting in things, we are going to get more of it. If we look at positive things, we are going to get more of it, right? So focus becomes a very important thing. So we will focus on the essence of things. So Swami Vivekananda here says, take up one idea. Make that idea your life. Dream of it. Think of it. Live on that idea. Let the brain, body, muscles, nerves, every part of your body be full of that idea. Leave everything else aside. This is a tested, proven success model which the ancestors have followed, it seems. So that kind of focus is important if we want to accomplish something. We will get enough time to do that in that case. And Arjuna has implemented it. It's a common thing. Most of you might be knowing the story. When Dronacharya, Arjuna's teacher, asked his students to hit the target, he asked Yudhishthira, what are you seeing? Yudhishthira says, I am seeing the mountain, I am seeing trees, I am seeing the bird in the tree. Dronacharya does not even give him an opportunity to hit. He says, go back to your seat. When Duryodhana comes, he speaks the same language. Dronacharya is not very happy. But when Arjuna comes, he says, he's seeing only the dot in the eye of the bird, which was his target. And Dronacharya says, now hit it. Arjuna hits the target. And he's successful. Which means when we are into a particular task, our focus should be completely dedicated to that. We'll be sure to achieve it. So in this, a famous Subhashita says, Acharya Padamadatte, which means Padam means 25%. In our body, 1/4 is our leg, right? So that's why it's called as Pada, 1/4. Acharya Padamadatte. So if we take 100% as a whole, 25% of the learning process happens from the teacher. Padam Shishya Swamedhaya. With the own efforts, the student learns the next 25%. Padam Sabrahmacharibhyaha. By peer conversation, like the group study that everybody does, they learn from mutual explanation of the topics. So that is another 25%. But then, when Nina was discussing, she said, no, we never have an age to learn. It's a lifelong learning process, right? Padam Kala Kramenacha. The next 25% is a lifelong experiential learning. Life is a teacher. So that is how we have to learn. So entire life we end up learning. Now, There was an interesting story which I read where a person is surprised how people make sculptures. So he goes to the Stapati and he's asking him like, how do you make a sculpture? I'm just seeing a rock. How does the rock become a horse, right? So the person says, it's very simple. I remove the portion which is not the horse. I remove the portion which is not the horse. Which means to his eye, the horse is visible all the time. So he just discards everything else. So for us, if our goal is visible all the time, we can discard anything which is on the way, which is a distraction. So let's say what Krishna says here. Vyavasayatmika buddhihi ekeva kuru nandana bahushakha hyanantascha buddhayo avyavasayinam. For the determined, they have a single thought, they have utmost determination. I have to achieve this, they go ahead and achieve it with complete focus. Bahushakha hyanantascha, let me try this, let me try that, a little bit of here, there. What happens is our focus becomes so distributed, it becomes difficult to achieve. Now, this is the difference between the light which we have here, okay? The light which is here is distributed, so it's still useful for us in giving brightness. Suppose a person has to have a heart surgery done, okay? The doctor uses the light which is focused completely, and the focus is so sharp that even a laser surgery can be done with that, right? So when our thoughts become focused completely, it is single pointed, our power increases multifold. So that's what is said here. Bahushakha hyanantascha buddhayo avyavasayinam. Now, in today's world, in fact, Kalidasa wrote this like long ago, but he's mentioned this in Kumara Sambhavam. Kalidasa is a poet all of us have to be very proud about for all the Sanskrit literature he's given. In fact, China has a idol of Kalidasa, saying that he belonged to Asia and things like that. I'm not sure if we have one. So Kalidasa has authored Kumara Sambhava, it's about Skanda, Muruga, and there he uses this phrase where he says that most of the people complain saying that, there is too much distraction, otherwise I would have accomplished it. Now that's a limiting belief. What Kalidasa says is that accomplishing things when you do not have distraction is not a big deal. In spite of all the distractions, in spite of all the temptations, if you accomplish something, that is where your intelligence actually comes out, right? So he says, one whose mind does not waver in spite of the cause of temptation being there is an intelligent person, right? So, in spite of temptations, we have to accomplish things. Now, our literature is full of such beautiful stories. I would like to say one such powerful story. It is about a small child. The name of the child is Nachiketas. And this is mentioned in a very important scripture of ours, which is called as the Kathopanishad. Now, when we do a yajna, we are supposed to give a lot of things in charity. So, when the yajna is done, whoever comes and whatever they want, we actually give things in charity. So, Nachiketas' father was actually doing a yajna. And at that point of time, he was giving away his cows and calves on charity. This little boy, Nachiketas, saw those cows and calves and he felt that they were not healthy. They were not in the best of their health and energy. So he said, this will be counterproductive. If you give wrong things as charity, it's not going to give you anything that you want. So there's a mistake that my father is doing. So he's going and he's asking his father, you are giving away all the wealth that you have. But don't you think these are not the right things to give? You have to give the healthy things, right? The father thinks, I'm giving whatever I have. So don't ask questions. But being a little kid, out of curiosity, he goes back again and again and keeps asking, pestering his father, saying that this is not right, why are you doing this? This is not right. His father gets so wild. Don't disturb me, he says. I don't have anything else to give, I'm giving whatever I have. Then Nachiketas goes and asks his father, like, I'm also your product, right? So who are you going to give me to? Now the father is really angry. He says that I'm going to go give you to Yama, the god of death. So Nachiketas takes his father's words, at face value. He goes to the Yamaloka. The little child goes all the way to Yamaloka. Now this child, though he is young in age, he has learned all the Veda. He's done all this Adhyayana. So a person with so much of knowledge is supposed to be respected. We say, right, Atithi Devo Bhava. When a person with knowledge comes, we are supposed to offer respects to them. They should never be hungry in the place where we visit. But Yama is not there in Yamaloka at that time. He's gone to his Sancharam somewhere else. So 3 days, Nachiketa waits in Yamaloka. He did not drink or eat anything. Now Yamadharmaraja comes back. He is so upset that a guest to his place has not been fed for 3 days. So to compensate for this folly, Yamadharmaraja says, I will give you 3 boons. Ask me whatever you want. Now this little kid says, I have heard in the scriptures that whoever comes to Yamaloka and goes back, they are not even seen by other people the normal way. When we go back to home, people are scared of those who visited Yamaloka. Let my father not be scared of me. Let him accept me as I am his child. Let him be happy with me. Yamadharma says, Tathastu, so be it. Go back to your father, he will accept you, with all the happiness. Now, what do you want as the second boon? Nachiketa says that, I want to understand that, there are a few things which can be done if a person wants to go to heaven. So, what are the deeds? Tell me about the practices which will lead us to Swarga. Yamadharmaraja happily teaches all that. Okay, now what do you want the third boon to be? Now this child says, I have heard that the body and Atma are different. Now I want to know about the Atma Jnana. This is a little kid. Okay. Now Yamadharmaraja is shocked with this question. Atma Jnana, that is not even known by Devas. You are a child. And we don't teach it to anybody like that. It needs a lot of perseverance. It needs mental maturity to understand the Atma Jnana. So ask me whatever else you want. Do you want the kingdom? I'll give you the kingdom. Do you want a long life? I'll give you long life as long as your great-great-grandchildren are alive. I'll give you all what you want. Ask me for these things. Atma Jnana is not for you, O my child. Now this increases the curiosity of Nachiketa. He says, if even the Devas do not know, and you know it, you are the right person to teach me. What will I do with all these materialistic wealth? Okay, even if my great-great-grandchildren are there, what am I going to do? That is like a small light in front of the Surya Prakasha. So I want to know the Atma Jnana, which is like Surya Prakasha. So now because Nachiketas did not succumb to these materialistic desires, Yamadharmaraja says that, okay, he is a Satpatram, he is the right person for me to teach. And that little child is taught the Atma Jnana, which today has become Kathopanishad, which we all learn. So Kathopanishad was born because of the conversation of the fearless child Nachiketa to directly the god of death, which is Yamadharmaraja. So much was the courage, determination, not succumbing to small things, which is explained in our Upanishads. So that is the Nachiketa story. Determination. Now I told you when I started this discussion that I will touch on what Bhagavan Krishna said in Bhagavad Gita. I said the world needs leaders who live by whatever they teach, right? Who practice what they preach. Now Krishna in Bhagavad Gita says, Yadyad acharati shreshtaha tat tadeva itaro janaha sayat pramatam kurute lokaha tad anuvartate. Very, very important message for each one of us here, especially the influencers. What Krishna says is, Yadyad acharati shreshtaha. Whatever is practiced by people who can influence others, tat tadeva itaro janaha, that is followed by everybody else. Sayat pramatam kurute, what they set as the standard. Lokaha tad anuvartate. The world continues that as the practice. So it is very important to set the right example, to say what we are supposed to do. In fact, Krishna says, Name patasti kartavyam trishu lokeshu kinchana. In all the 3 worlds, O Arjuna, I have nothing to accomplish. I don't have to prove myself to anyone, Krishna says. But then, Nana Vaptam Avaptavyam Varta Evacha Karmani. But then, I am doing all these. Why? Why should I do all these karma? I am not answerable to anyone. Because the world will follow whatever I do. If Krishna can do this, I can also do, right? So because the world will follow this, I am very careful in what I do. So what did Krishna do? All of us know that Kurukshetra war happened, right? Now Kurukshetra war, we say Krishna was a Sarathi. The topic starts and ends there. But what are the rules of the Sarathi? Today, when we get into the car, we know that the driver comes and opens the door for us, right? It's a casual thing that we see these days. Earlier days, when the kings were on the chariot, the Sarathi was the person on whom they would have to step because the chariot will be at a very high level. They will keep their feet on the Sarathi to come down. Krishna was the Sarathi, Arjuna was the Rathi. Arjuna had to step on Krishna to climb down. Krishna, Bhagavan, Paramatma accepted it. Think of it. It was the responsibility of Krishna. Even today, the driver takes care of our car, right? They clean the car, they maintain the car. Similarly, the Sarathi was supposed to take care of the Ashvas, the horses of the chariot. Which means that giving a bath to the horses, giving water and food to the horses, cleaning the shit of the horses, if we have to go to that level. All these was done by Paramatma to lead by example. If I don't do, I take an exception because I am God. Everybody is going to be that way. No excuses. He leads by example. When Arjuna was fighting, Arjuna has a beautiful name called Savyasachin. Savyasachin means ambidextrous. He can fight with both his right and left arm, with equal might. Now, he was so fast that words were slower than his action. So he didn't have time to say, hey Krishna, go on the left side, Krishna, go on the right side during the war. So he would just, hit Krishna with his leg. Whichever direction Arjuna's leg hits Krishna, Krishna will move his ratha to that direction. So both his hands were in action, his leg was in action. Krishna accepted, getting hit by the feet of his devotee. So Krishna with that authority says, Name patasti kartavyam trishu lokeshu kinchana. I have nothing to be accomplished in these three worlds. Why am I doing this? Because others will follow whatever I do. So I have to lead by example. So this is a very, very important sloka. Yat yat acharati shreshtaha tat tadeva itaro janaha. Sayat pramatam kuruti lokaha tat anuvartate. So the world will follow what we set as example. So it is very important for us to live up to a standard, set the right standard so that people will follow it. Usually, when we walk at night, I have this fear. The area where I am here in Chennai becomes a little dark at night. So sometimes the dog starts barking, the stray dogs are there. And when one dog barks, all the dogs join together and they start barking, and it becomes a very scary experience for us to walk on the road, especially at night time. And not all the road lights are there. In some places it's bright, some places it's not bright. So we attempt to walk faster. But when we attempt to walk faster, the dogs overtake us, creating a jittery. So it's like, oh my God, I have to go home safe. So that is the kind of thing that happens. Now this is a real life example of a person who faced such a situation, not with dogs, with monkeys. Now he is walking at night, the place is dark. Now a troop of monkeys follow him. He is walking a little faster. The monkeys walk faster. He starts to run and the monkeys start to jump, and it's all over him. They start jumping on him and he does not know what to do. And when he's panicking like that, he hears a sound. Asariri Vakyam, we say, nobody knows who's talking, but he's able to hear that sound. And that sound says, Sankatebhyo Madhava. Sankatebhyo Madhava. when you're having shankata, when you're having problem, don't run away. Don't run away from problems. So he thinks about it. Sankatebhyo madava, don't run away from problems means face the problems. Now what is his problem? The monkeys chasing him is the problem. So he turns around and looks at the monkeys. Now the monkeys stand. He starts walking towards the monkeys move back. He walks faster, the monkeys go behind. He marches towards them, they all run away and vanish. Sankatebhyo madava, don't run away from problems, face it. So this is a real life anecdote which happened in the life of Swami Vivekananda. He's documented it in his book. And he used to repeat it in many of his lectures where he says that from that time on, he never attempts to escape from problems, because when we face the problems run away from us. So face the problem. Sankatebhyo madava. Now, sometimes certain things look impossible to us. At that point of time, what we do is, some way, somehow, keep changing our approach until we achieve certain things. So this is one story I want to say before we wrap up this session. There was a king by name Bhagiratha. He became a Raja Rishi, king who is a Rishi. Now this Bhagiratha, what he did was, his ancestors, 60,000 ancestors who are called as Sagaraputras, they were burnt to ashes because of a shapa. And only the pure water of Ganga can give them mukti. So this was the situation. Many generations went after that, but nothing could happen. This Bhagiratha story is mentioned in Valmiki Ramayana. Okay? When Vishwamitra is going with Rama and Lakshmana to Mithila, sage Vishwamitra narrates this story to Rama, saying that, let me explain to you about one of the ancestors. You have to know about your ancestors, right? So what happens is, this Bhagiratha, the Raja Rishi, decides to do a penance towards Ganga Mata. Because Ganga at that time was only in the heavenly abodes. She was not in this earth. So she had to be brought down to this earth, right? So thousands of years they say, he was praying for a very, very long time. He did this tapasya, and Ganga came in front of him. And he said, I'm so happy with your dedication. I'm willing to come here. But the thing is, we all know about hydroelectricity. When water is poured from a higher level to a lower level, electricity gets generated. She says, I am in the heavenly abodes. With that force, if I touch the lower worlds, the earth can't even withstand the kind of power it has. So Bhagiratha does not want to give up. He says, give me a solution. What should I do? So Ganga Mata says, request Shiva. Bhagavan Shiva is the person who can handle so much power. So if he is able to accept me and then move me to this earth, it will be fine. So Bhagiratha now starts praying to Bhagavan Shiva. He does a long time tapasya. It is all not easy to do. No food, no water, nothing. Focus, determination. He prays to Shiva. Shiva is very pleased. He says, okay, I will grant your wish. So Ganga now pours from the high levels, Swarga abodes, all the way to Shiva's head. Shiva takes it. That's why we call him as Ganga Jatadhara. He holds Ganga in his jata. And then he transfers a little bit of that water to our Bhumi, and that water is a huge Ganga river that we see here, right? So that water comes here. Now Bhagiratha is very happy. Ganga Mata is very happy to come to Bhumi. So she is dancing and happily going around and all that. At that point of time, there is a ashrama of a Maharishi. Janu is the name of the Maharishi. So because of her happiness, she does not realize, she floods his ashrama. He is doing tapasya there. She floods his ashrama. Now this Rishi is disturbed from his penance that he swallows the entire Ganga Jala. Now Bhagiratha is like, oh my God, I took so much of efforts, in praying to Ganga Mata, in praying to Bhagavan Shiva. Now everything is gone for a toss. So he now does a tapasya to Janu Maharishi. And he says, please, this is for my ancestors. So help me, bring her all the way to the Kapila Ashrama. So he says, okay, and he releases Ganga from his ears. That is why even today, when people are doing some religious activities, you will see them touching the ear because Ganga Mata came from the ear. So because of this, she is called as Janvi. Another name of Ganga is Janvi because Bhagirath got here, to this world with all his efforts. She is called as Bhagirathi. All these are names of Ganga. So Ganga comes down. He leads her all the way to the Kapila Ashrama, where all the ancestors get the mukti from their shaka. So whenever a task is humongous, when a lot of efforts are needed for a task, we call it as Bhagiratha Prayatna. Bhagiratha is an ancestor even to Rama. So we think of all these people in the morning to help ourselves enhance our determination. We follow their vamsha, right? So that is a very important thing. So the concluding thought of today's talk was Jivane Yavadhadanam Syat Pradhanam Katodikam Ityesha Prarthanasmakam Bhagavan Paripuryatam. For our living, we use a lot of things in our everyday life. Starting from the place we sit, we need so many people to have prepared the place for us, from the construction workers to people who bring in the lighting to every single thing we are dependent on others. For the water we drink, we have to depend on people. For the food we eat, we have to depend, starting from the agriculturist, everything, we are dependent on so many external factors to lead our life. So, our contribution should be a lot more than what we consume. We have to consume for our survival. But our prarthana to Bhagavan is, let our contribution be a lot more than what we consume. So we become an asset in every facet of our life. In our house, are we contributing more than what we consume? In our family, in our relationships with people, even in our friendship with people, are we a contributor? Do we contribute more than we consume? That will determine the quality of our life. In every facet of life, if our contribution is a lot more than our consumption, then our life itself becomes that of an asset, right? So this is my thought. I did prepare some simple 9 questions as a small quiz based on what I just taught. We are going to play a tic-tac-toe game, alright? So tic-tac-toe, all of you know, you will put 0 or X, okay? So let's have Krishna, Radha, 2 teams, okay? So the Krishna team, you can choose anything from 1 to 9. So if you answer it correctly, you can get a X. If you don't answer it, it will go to the other team. So we will see which team first gets the series of cross, zeros or X. All of us know tic-tac-toe, right? I'll tell you. Alright, so Krishna team, which one do you want to choose? 5. So just click on 5, the number 5. On the number 5. Yeah. Okay. If a task takes extraordinary efforts, we call it Bhagiratha Prayatnam. So just go to the team. Okay. And mark 5 questions. And the next set level 5. Okay. Okay, Radhi. 2. Alright. Click on 2. Alright. Shri Krishna gives this as an example of the inevitable.
Death.
Yes. Jatasya hi dhruvam mrityuhu dhruvam janma mritasya cha. So you can go back again and put a 0 in.
See, X actually, no?
0.
Oh, 0.
Okay. Now, Krishna team. 9. Okay, choose 9 please. Click on 9. Alright. Nothing is impossible for a
Determined person.
yeah, enthusiastic person was the Subhashitam. Yeah, enthusiast. For a person with enthusiasm, nothing is impossible. Alright, go back again.
1 actually.
And then 9.
1.
X. 1. Choose 1.
At least we know tic-tac-toe.
Choose 1.
Yeah.
Now you're trapped.
What is the percentage of knowledge one can acquire from an acharya?
25%.
25%. Alright, cool. Acharya Padamagate. Okay, number 3 for them. Okay, Sankatebhyo dash. Who realized this? Sankatebhyo Don't run away from problems. Sankatevya Madhava. Who realized this?
Ramakrishna Paramahംsa.
Oh. Vivekananda.
Okay. Now which one do you want to choose, Radhe? Seven for Radhe.
They'll win.
Seven. You can click. Click. Dash is the name of river Ganga that is attributed to a rishi. Janvi. Maharishi Janvi. Go back to the game. That's zero.
Six for us.
Okay. Yeah, click on this. Okay. Where the eyes go, mind goes. Eko drishti stato manaha.
Oh.
Okay, but Krishna has actually completed that. Let's go to 4 also.
With the help of Ramakrishna.
According to Krishna, who is our best friend? Ourselves. Cool. Buddhare Dharmana. Okay, the last 8. Let's see. 8. What is the name of the child who conversed with the god of death?